Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So, I haven't been recording videos for the last few days, which is kind of rare for me, but I wanted to tell you why. You probably haven't seen the lapse in videos because I had a bunch queued up here, but it's pretty rare for me not to write or record videos, so I must have had a good reason. Well, my reason was that I was at Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within event, the UPW. I still got the little bracelet from that. But yeah, so that's what I was doing. I was there in San Jose from, was it like Thursday it started until Sunday. I actually left early. I didn't go to the Sunday day because that's his health and fitness type of day, and I'm not exactly in agreement with Tony on those things. Love a lot of his stuff, love a lot of what he says, but that's one part where we differ, which is fine. You know, I think that he would even say that you shouldn't just follow anyone blindly, and this is something I tell you guys all the time, right, is I can love a lot of what Tony does, I can go to his events, I don't have to believe every single word, I don't have to subscribe to every single thing that he says, and just like, you know, those of you that are watching this channel, you shouldn't subscribe to everything that I say, right? You know, you don't have to, you know, 100%, and you shouldn't. It's dangerous to really just be 100% taking what someone says as gospel. I did a video where I talked about Trump actually, and I talked about how that you shouldn't do that, right? You shouldn't accept what anyone says, whatever political party, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, there's a lot of deception, there's a lot of things you don't know, and so you got to be ready to, you know, take the good, and weed it out from the bad, right? So anyway, enough about that. I want to tell you a little bit about UPW and my experience there. I'll definitely put some video up. It was a huge event, about 10,500 people, the biggest I think UPW ever. I actually went to Tony Robbins' bigger seminar or longer seminar, kind of his most intensive one last year, called Date with Destiny, and I did a review that you can check out here. I definitely enjoyed Date with Destiny. I enjoyed UPW, but definitely not as much as Date with Destiny. Date with Destiny is so much more in depth, you know, and it's a little bit more of a tighter kind of bonding kind of experience. A little bit takes you a little bit deeper. I think mainly because you're broken into teams. It feels like a smaller atmosphere and more of a personal type of development, but that doesn't mean that Unleash the Power Within is not great. It was an awesome, definitely something I recommend that you go to. It's not very expensive, like relatively speaking. I think my tickets, I got VIP tickets and they're like $1,200. I think I've seen tickets go for $700 or less before with buy one get one free or half off deals and stuff like that. So it's definitely worth attending if you get a chance to go. I mean, if you've never been to a Tony Robbins seminar, it's a must-do type of thing. It can really change your life, honestly. Like, I think, you know, that it definitely, if you look at my life and sort of how I've grown since the Date with Destiny, it's definitely changed me. Like, you can see the change over the last year if you've been watching me. It's not just Date with Destiny, right? But that sort of was a catalyst that sparked a lot of changes that were kind of brewing at the surface for me and sort of had me break through those and really change and grow as a person. So I was really pleased with that, right? Looking back at this. And UPW, I don't think will be quite as an extreme experience. I did get to walk on fire, which was pretty damn cool. It's kind of crazy on their first night, right? You know, they prep you up for this and stuff, and you literally walk on hot coals, like it's like 8 steps. It's not like a huge, but they're like 1,000 Fahrenheit, 1,500 degree Fahrenheit coals that you walk across. So and it feels like nothing when you're doing it at the time because you're psyched up. So there's a few things I want to talk about UPW that sort of takeaways that I had from it. One of them was this idea, which I had been exposed to before, but it really clicked for me this time, which was that you could change your state at will. So you could basically have unlimited energy if you just chose to be in a state of energy. If it was just a mindset thing that you could choose that. And I think I get tired sometimes and I convince myself that I'm tired, but I don't realize that I have the power to snap into energy if I want to. And that was really apparent. You know, if you go to a Tony Robbins seminar, you'll figure this out simply because of the number of hours that you're going to be there, standing on your feet, jumping, yelling, screaming, hugging people, clapping hands, doing all that kind of stuff for like literally 14, 15, 16 16-hour days with basically no breaks, right? For several days at a time, like 3 or 4 days. The Date with Destiny was 6 days, and that's what you're doing the whole time. So and you're not sleeping much, right? So you figured out that it's a willpower thing. Or it's not even a willpower thing. It's just that you decide that you choose what state you're going to be in, and that's a really powerful concept, one that you can apply in a lot of different ways in your life. But I found it that I should be able to apply this to have energy when I think that I don't have energy, when I think I'm super tired, and I can just instead, and I can attack everything that I do in life with that amount of energy and intensity instead of, just kind of getting through a lot of stuff. Like just go 100%. The one example that kind of stuck with me is the other guys that spoke when Tony was resting his voice. Really good. I can't remember his name now, but he's a really, really good, real funny guy. But he was having us get out of our chairs, right? And he would say, like, put your books down and get up, or get out of your seat. And he was having us, when we get out of our seat, he did this funny thing where he's like, when you get out of your seat, this is what I want you to do. I want you to jump up and go and say yes, and then look, and then like, and he did it much better than I did, but it was like you're eager, right? Like, and I thought, okay, this is how you can kind of live your life, right? Is you can kind of, when you're supposed to do something, you could jump out of your seat and be like, yes, and you can just be eager to attack whatever it is in life. And you make that choice, you make that conscious choice. And he kind of trained us to do that, almost like Pavlovs Dog at the sound of what he said. But there's no reason why you can't train yourself to do it, and there's no reason why you can't choose to do that. And so that was something that I thought was really valuable that I got out of it, and that's kind of at a personal level, because I had been exposed to this before, but it clicked for me this time. There's a few other things that I got out of it. One of them was kind of the power of coaching. Of course, I do some coaching myself, and I've undertaken coaching, but in the context of learning something, and he went through this model, and he said, like, there's people that he called dabblers, which were people that, and I talk about this a lot, right? You try to learn a new skill, and you have this acceleration where you're getting better really quickly, and then you hit this plateau, and when you hit the plateau, they give up. They're done, right? And then you've got achievers, and I think most of the people at the event were achievers. There's like 10,500 people. It was crazy, but anyway, you've got they hit the plateau, and they just like pound their way through it until they finally figure it out, and they break through, and they hit the next level, and they hit the next plateau, and then they force their way through and struggle and fail and whatever, and finally get through. And then he talked about what he called masters, and he said that they come into something, they have that accelerated learning or improvement, and then they hit this plateau, but they expect to hit a plateau. And when they hit a plateau, what they do is they ask the question of who. They ask who can help me, who can get past this, who's done this before. And by asking that question and essentially modeling, if in NLP, this is the idea of modeling, which Tony is a big proponent of. But you find this person who could mentor you, who could be a coach for you, and you pay them money or whatever it takes to get them to take you to the next level. The idea being that money, like time, is the only asset that you can't get back, that you can't buy, right? So it would be better to trade money for time, right? Instead of taking all that time to figure out how to break through and get to the next level, go and pay someone or go find someone who has already done it, and then get there quicker, and then you can accelerate. You can compress time, and that's extremely valuable. So I'm going to figure out ways I can do that, possibly even with YouTube. Here is what I was thinking, is like, let me find someone who has 1 million subscribers. Let me say, hey, what is a good, like, can I pay you for your time to tell me how did you do this, right? What do I need to do? What do I need to change? What can I do to get there? And that could be worth looking into. So those were the primary things I think that I got out of it. There's of course some other things that I pulled from it, and just from the experience. It was definitely a good experience, something I'd highly recommend. I do want to talk about one other thing that I got from it, which was he had us do this exercise where we talked about what is our X factor. Like, if we're going to sell something, if we're in business, what is the X factor? What's the thing that's unique to us that we have, that's our selling point, our main selling point? And it clicked for me. Mine was being genuine. Mine was, some of you that watch this channel, that I tell it how it is. Like, I try to do it in a cordial fashion and be diplomatic, but I don't hold back the truth. Like I'm genuine here. Like I'm telling you, what I think, what I believe, and I'm not sugarcoating it, right? I may present it in a way that makes it a little bit easier to swallow, but it is the full unwatered down truth, and that's I think few people will talk to you on any subject and give you that, right? A lot of people will have an agenda, or they will twist the words or twist the truth to make it a little bit more palpable. But I'm gonna tell you that some of the hard things that that you're gonna have to work hard, that you're gonna have to do these things, that that there's not such a thing as privilege, and that you can't have this victim mentality. So that's kind of my X factor, I think, is being genuine, being raw, and telling it how it is. So I kind of figured that I kind of knew that, but that made it clear to me, and so that's something I can use. Is I can realize that when I'm selling a product or something, that my main selling point, my main proposition is that, hey, look, other guys are going to bullshit you. They're going to tell you need this stuff. They're going to tell you all this crap that you want to hear. I give you a message that actually makes people unsubscribe from my channel, because I have no agenda besides trying to make you better, trying to make your life better, and you can see that. You can see that by how I talk. You can see that by what I say. You can see that by the kind of videos that I produce. So I think that's a valuable thing for me to understand. So then one last thing, and I'll wrap this up here. One point that I didn't like about UPW is I don't particularly like Tony's sales team. I think that their sales and marketing, it's kind of the opposite. Like where I just said that the reason why you should buy from me is because I'm genuine. I feel like they did some pitching in the event, and when you're standing on your feet for like 14 hours and doing all this stuff, and then someone pitches you for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and you don't have any sleep, and you're hungry and stuff, it just feels like you could have let us go to sleep. Instead, you pitched us. Not that that pitching. I'm all for sales techniques, but it has to come from a very genuine place, and I feel like it didn't. It felt very timeshare salesman to me. Again, I don't know if Tony's involved, like if he even knows what his sales team is doing. I would assume that he probably has hired someone, and they are running the sales process, and they're using the kind of old timeshare salesman techniques that frankly they produce results, but they leave people feeling like with a little pit in their stomach. And I didn't like that. There was multiple kind of run-ins I had with some of the salespeople there. I won't go into the details, but I was thinking about actually buying some more entry to a few other events that he had, and they sort of. I ended up not doing it. Let's just put it that way. So again, I don't mean to knock the whole thing. It's the event is great, Tony's great, but again, you got to be the kind of person that does two things. One, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and two, that you take the good with the bad, and you separate the meat from the bones, as I've heard it. And so there's a ton of good stuff that Tony does, and he helps a lot. He feeds how many millions of people. I think that his book he gave copies of his book. It's a good book, by the way. I don't think I did a review on it because I wasn't doing the book reviews, but you can check it out. Money Massive Game, but. He gave all of the proceeds from this book to feeding the homeless or feeding families. Anyway, I definitely encourage you to check out a Tony Robbins event if you haven't been to one. I don't have any affiliate link for it. I probably should, but I don't. But anyway, you can check it out. Unleash the Power Within is definitely a great event. Like I said, a starter event. If you had to choose between Unleash the Power Within or Date with Destiny, pick Date with Destiny. It's just a more in-depth, better event. It's more expensive, of course, but it's totally worth the money in my opinion. Anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and click that subscribe button below, and you'll get more videos that I make. Usually when I'm not at a UPW event, 2 to 3 a day. Otherwise, if I'm not sleeping, I'm not making videos. That's where I draw the line. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Take care.